Just wanted to share kind of my approach to fitness. Try and look good naked and move well. Eat, steak as many times a day as you can. And then take your supplements, especially your greens, and then sleep. You do that over time, and you're going to get to the goals that you have.
Hey, what's up? I'm your host, Bob Thompson, and welcome to Unleashing Greatness, the #1 show for people who are ready to finally start or scale their own business and do it successfully. Over the last 9 years, I've scaled my little basement business to 15 plus locations and several other businesses. But it hasn't been without trial and error and lots of adversity. I'm here to share with you the strategies and tools that actually work when running a business and how not to lose yourself while doing it. So if you're ready to unleash the greatness within you, let's dive into today's show.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Unleashing Greatness. On today's episode, I want to talk about my approach to fitness. I started thinking about this a week ago when I was sitting in church and they were talking about praying for the end of the COVID pandemic. And I just looked around the room and I noticed that just about every single person in there was overweight or obese. And now all my gyms are on the East Coast, but it's also something the same for theirs. Most people, whether it's East Coast, out West, Midwest, so the entire North America, the world, everybody nowadays is overweight or obese. And although we're talking about it, not much is happening. And I think one of those reasons is it could be pretty overwhelming. And I finished a workout this morning. I was cooking my first meal of the day, and I was just laughing to myself about how really simple and easy, and I think obviously tasty the meal I'm eating is. And then I started just thinking about why don't people why aren't more people active? Why aren't more people putting more attention on their health and fitness? And sometimes I think it's just we don't know how simple it really can be. And anything new or something that we don't know about can be super overwhelming. So I figured, why not share the approach that I take with myself, but also the approach that I've taken within Legion. And I think the reason that the gyms have been so successful is because we make our approach to losing weight so freaking easy. Now, Legion, the goal of the gyms are to help everyday people do fitness. That's our mission. And most of the people that go there are looking to lose weight, either a little bit or a lot of it. For me, my goals over the years haven't been about losing weight. In fact, the reason I started was because I was super skinny and I was super tiny and I wanted to get freaking jacked. However, the same approach to getting jacked or to losing weight is the same. Ultimately, the training might be a little different. The quantity of food might be different, but the principles are the same. So I kind of wanted to talk today about my approach to fitness and the principles that are behind it, because there's really three. There's exercise, there's nutrition, and then there's recovery. And recovery is actually two parts, and we're going to talk about that last because it is one of the most important, but we have to get those other cornerstones done first. And just to keep in mind, if one of these pieces is missing, you're just not going to get as great results. So let's just dive in. Let's go right into exercise, and I'll kind of share my approach for myself, but also the approach that I've taken within the gyms that has proven to be pretty effective. And that approach is, at the end of the day when we're working out, so that's the exercise component. When we're working out, the goal just about for every single person is to look good naked, even if they don't want to admit it. They don't want to say it out loud. Probably deep down and inside when they're looking at the mirror and they want to start a program, it's to look good naked. They're not liking what's looking back at the mirror. And I know that because that's exactly how I was, and that's how I've been throughout different stages of my fitness journey. So keeping that in mind, that's what I go into when it comes to exercise. So how do we look good naked? Well, the other thing I should also put a caveat on is now, in the beginning it was just look good naked. Now it's look good naked and be able to move well. So those are those two goals, and they go hand in hand. So how do we make that happen? Pretty simple. You should be spending the majority or just about every single day working out. Not the majority of your days, but the majority of your week should have some working out component into it. I like to lift weights, so I'll lift probably anywhere from 4, 5, 6 days a week. And then I also like to be active outside. One of the benefits of living in Montana, but I also did this when I lived in Pennsylvania, was I go hiking. Out here there's great mountains, there's great trails, so I try and get out there a couple times a week. Have I always been great with that? No, but I'm always great with getting my training in and trying to essentially build muscle and chase the pump. That's what I do right now is I just chase the pump. So I want to have some sort of component of exercise that's designed around building muscle. Now, you're not getting started, you're not going to get freaking jacked just from going into the gym. If that's your goal or that's your fear, don't worry, it's not that easy. And it does take a lot of time. And it takes a lot of then the nutrition components that go with it and maybe some other extra bonuses and all that good stuff. But having a goal to build muscle is what's going to help you look better naked, because the more muscle you have, more calories you're going to burn at rest, all that great stuff. It boosts your metabolism. So you should have some sort of goal where it involves like resistance training for, I don't know why I don't like that word. It's just, I don't know, corny, but where you're crushing some freaking weight. So for me, I'm trying to crush weight and then chase the pump. And what I also should make sure I'm doing is making sure I'm throwing a lot of mobility stuff in there so that I'm moving well. But if you have good structural balance in your workouts, that'll also help take care of itself. So in Legion, that's the approach we take. It's like, hey, how do we make our workout super fun? How do we make sure that we're building muscle, we're burning calories all in that one workout? We're kind of combining resistance training and cardio, because that's like my hikes are cardio. I've tried running, but my body just gets beat up from it. It's either I try and do too much too fast, or I suck at it, or my body's just not built for it. I don't know. I'm creating some excuses, although I do like it. But it's, hey, strength train, cardio, boom. That's the exercise component. We can combine it in one, spread it out. But regardless, you should be doing it just about every single day. And it's not a lot of work. Like, I work out for 45 minutes. I'm not chasing, the goal is to step on the stage of a bodybuilder, to be an elite powerlifter, have my goals at one point in time maybe been aligned around there. Yeah. But I also didn't have the exact dedication for either one of those. But I also know that I don't want to spend hours in the gym. And most people don't. So my workouts last about 45 minutes to an hour. And when I go in, the goal is to chase the pump. It's to be able to move better. And at the end of the day, it's so that I'm building muscle, so that when I, look at myself naked in the mirror, take my shirt off, whatever, I'm looking good. And that's the goal. And I truly believe that's the end goal for most people. So ultimately, to make that happen, it's nothing crazy, no rocket science or anything like that. Like, the exercises are all the same. It's just making sure that you're doing it, but making sure that you're doing it consistently. So working out, whether you're crushing weight, running, combining them both, whatever, however you work out, you should be doing that. An exercise component, I believe, like 6-7 days a week. If you're doing 7 days a week, you should have some recovery. So you make sure, like, maybe it's lighter, it's a hike, or it's a walk, or whatever, but being active every single day is what you want to have in your exercise. Also, something you should ask yourself is, do my workouts challenge me? Because maybe in the very beginning, just going to the gym is good, and like, that's a victory, woohoo, rah, rah, like you made it in, that's great. But if you're just going in and running through the motions, what benefit is that actually going to do? You have to make sure that you're challenging yourself. That doesn't mean you have to lift more weight. It doesn't mean just maybe having better control of it. You're creating bigger density in your workouts. You're having a better mind-muscle connection or something like that if you're chasing the pump. So it doesn't have to be just lifting more weight every time you go in there. Chances are that's probably going to be a recipe for you getting hurt. But, so you have to make sure that you're doing something just about every single day and that you're actually challenging yourself. If your workouts are easy, you're just running through the motions, then you're probably not going to see a change. And if you don't see a change, how long are you really going to stick with it? Once you nail down that exercise, or as you're nailing down that exercise, not once, but as you're doing it, you got to nail your nutrition. And nutrition is really, really simple. My approach, what I try and do now, is I try and eat like 3 steaks a day. So I try and have that. And if I can do that, I'm eating meat, I'm getting a ton of protein, I'm going to go. Now I eat more than 3 times a day. My old one was just have a steak a day. And I noticed for myself, when I had a steak a day, then I felt pretty good. But what we do at Legion is we just tell people, hey, make sure you have a protein, a carb, and a veggie 3 meals a day. All right? We tell them portion size, all that stuff. And I think one of the things that I don't do is I don't count calories. I know that most people probably don't want to count calories. I'm not saying counting calories is a bad thing. I'm aware of the calories of taking, or at least an approximate, and I know that my portion sizes are good, and I know that if I want to gain weight, I probably need to eat more calories. If I want to lose weight, I got to eat less calories. So I'm making sure that I'm eating enough, and then I'm creating balance. But especially if you're getting started, like one of the approaches we take at least is we kind of look at the precision nutrition approach. How do we make sure that we're eating the right quantities without necessarily having to count calories? And I think that's one of the reasons that's allowed the gyms to be so successful, as people get so much results, is we're not trying to overwhelm them or confuse them when it comes down to figuring out, like, hey, so you're not eating well right now? Great, let's change what the foods you're eating. Let's count all this stuff that you don't want to do and that you're not going to do. Let's be real here. And then, you're not going to stick with it. So it's like, hey, how do we start? And you can get to counting calories. And I think it probably does benefit most people at some point in time to count calories, especially if you're not, because if you're not aware of what's actually going in your body, it's really tough. But also just really making sure that you're eating the right foods. So having a protein, a carb, and a veggie at the majority of your meals. I generally never eat a meal without protein. unless it's like a cheat meal or something like that. And I also try and eat healthy about 90% of the time. I'm not going to be super duper strict. My girlfriend and I, we go on a date night every single week, and I try and it's not always true, like accurate, but I try and save like when I'm gonna have my shitty meals or my cheat meals for that date night. I don't want to, since I'm not trying to step on stage or anything like that, like restrict myself, but it's also kind of a great way to break it up. If you've been eating really strict, give you something to look forward to have a little bit of fun in the date night, but also it's like good for your hormones if you're going to be eating some more calories that day. But ultimately, like what I had today for lunch was ground beef and potatoes. And actually I had some bread too. And like that was my lunch. Yesterday I had chili and cornbread. So I guess I'm not really eating all that great. And then beef stew for most of my meals and eggs. But generally every single day I eat the same things. It'll be either eggs or steak for breakfast with fruit. And then I'll have steak or something similar and rice for a couple meals. And then, maybe steak or fish or something like that for dinner with potatoes or rice or something like that. Like I don't really deviate all that much. I like the structure and the routine of that. Takes a lot of the guesswork out. I also don't have to count calories when I'm eating pretty much the same foods all the time. And since I'm eating well about 90% of the time, when I deviate, it's probably only going to be in my benefit. Might give me that calorie spike that works with the hormones, that helps me actually burn, more calories and stuff like that or whatever, or mentally gives me a break from eating the same stuff. Whatever it is, I try and I just do that. And that's not, so I don't, in Legion, we're not like, hey, eat a steak every day, but we're like, hey, pick a protein. Here's some really good options. Here's your carbs, pick an option. Here's your veggies, pick an option. You want to eat that at least 3 times a day. All right. And then we do recommend eating more, especially for people that are getting started. But then there's other approaches you go on. Like right now, I generally don't eat, until midday. I do like a little bit of intermittent fasting approach. It works for me, but I don't always do this. And I usually just drink coffee. And so I cheat in my intermittent fasting because I'll drink coffee and heavy cream. Freaking love heavy cream in my coffee. It's pretty much heavy cream with coffee. And that's how I start my day. So I'm still getting calories. So it's not true intermittent fasting. But then I push my main meals back. I might, I wake up at 5 or 6. I might start eating 10 or 12 or something like that. And then I just have my meals throughout the day. That's also because when I first started working out, my approach was different. I ate very similarly as in protein and carbs, just about every single meal. There's a reason why I have a green supplement. It's because I like vegetables. I just don't always take them. But there was protein and carbs every single meal. And I made sure that I got that. But when I first started working out, it was every 2 hours. And I ate every 2 hours, I want to say at least for 2 to 3 years straight. And I did not miss a meal. When I was, I remember being in junior college and the meals in between, I would have like 10 minutes in between classes and I would have to get a meal because of like the length. I don't know if they were 80 minutes or whatever they were. But at the time I was like, I can't miss a meal. I got to have it. So I would prepare in Tupperware at the time, tuna fish mixed with oatmeal. And then I would stir it together. I would put a scoop in my mouth. I would chug some water. And then I would drink that. I would drink it down essentially instead of really even chewing because it kind of tasted nasty. But that would be a meal that I would have. Protein and a carb. But I share that because I was just, at the time, I knew that my goals were to go from 115 pounds and I wanted to get to 220. I wanted to be, in my mind, if I got to 220, I'd be freaking jacked and this muscular body I wanted. And since I didn't know much about nutrition in the beginning, once I figured out nutrition, that it was kind of the key to unlocking the goals, that's what I had to do. I had to eat every 2 hours. Because if I was a skinny kid, I really didn't have a big appetite. So I knew that would allow me to eat the calories. And I also have fast metabolism or whatever, that it would allow me to then gain the weight that I needed because I was freaking skin and bones. And I did that. And I did that until, I got up to that 200 plus pounds. And I still stay pretty consistent. So that's one of the things that we recommend, is finding that consistency, whether it's a frequent eating approach, whether it's intermittent fasting. But at the end of the day, whatever the approach you take, most important is, are you in a calorie deficit or calorie surplus, depending on your goals? And then are you eating, really the right foods? And then you can figure out the structure of like how it's going to be laid out through the day. Because if you're doing intermittent fasting but still eating calorie surplus, you're still going to gain weight if your goal is to lose weight. If you're, you can also, like, I know for me, sometimes if I do intermittent fasting too long, so I have to be aware of it. I have to make sure that I eat enough because it's easy for me to not eat enough. So if I push back and the next thing you know, I'm dragging, I don't have any energy, I'm getting super flat. So I have to be aware of that to make sure even if I'm pushing my meals back, that I'm still eating enough calories throughout the day. And I just noticed that for me right now, it's a good way for me to kind of like maintain and lean out a little bit. I'm trying to gain weight, I don't go to that approach. And there's throughout the year, my goals, they will fluctuate, whether I want to gain weight, or if I want to maintain, or want to lose weight or whatever. And then over the years, my goals have been to, build muscle, to get strong and all that stuff. Exercise was a cornerstone, nutrition was a cornerstone. The foods that I ate really never change. Might just be my approach and the calories that I'm taking in. So now, I mean, again, it's just, I eat red meat pretty much every single meal. And I feel freaking great doing it. So, one of the things that did this, summer was picked up half a cow, and then in a couple weeks I'll be going hunting and I'm going to start hunting. So, hopefully with my meat, it'll be something that, I'll be eventually supplying myself. So get your exercise in, get your nutrition in, pretty simple approaches. And then you got to make sure that you're recovering. Recovering, I consider to be two parts. One is the supplements that you're taking. It's also the sleep that you're getting. Now, supplements, some people, supplements suck. You don't need supplements, all that stuff. I don't know too many people that have a great physique and are healthy that aren't taking supplements. Like, you're not going to get everything from what you're eating, so it's okay to take supplements. My morning supplements are really just focused on like health. I'll wake up and I'll take vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, quercetin, and magnesium and a couple other things. And like, that's what I take every single morning. And it's how I start my day. So it's not necessarily just about like muscle. And then the rest of the supplements I take are helping me build muscle and recover. But also my nutrition's good and my training's good. And also when I'm taking those supplements, it keeps me on track of those things. So that's one of the things that we've noticed, especially in the gyms. The clients that come in that actually take the supplements, stick to the nutrition plan, and lose more weight. The clients that don't have as much success. And that's the experience that we've had. And in just my locations that I used to own, it was in 2018 when I ended up. And at that point, we helped 10,000 people just in my locations alone. So back then. So extrapolate that to now the franchise locations and the fact that this is 2021 now, that's the approach that has helped a significant amount of people. So when you're taking the supplements, they do help, and then they also help you stick to the other things. And they, at the end of the day, it's part of like that recovery. Especially if you're not used to eating a ton and you're struggling to get your protein in, like protein powder is a great supplement to have. I freaking love pre-workout. I've been taking it since pretty much high school when I think it kind of became popular. And now for me, it's ritualistic. I know that when I take my pre-workout, whether I was working or whatever, reading or whatever I was doing, now it's time to go work out and train. And that's the approach I look at my exercises, that I'm training. So I take that and it's kind of shifts my mindset and puts me in the zone for that. And, I get, it's a mental thing, but I get better workouts. And it does also help me too because of the stuff that's in my pre-workout. So that comes out of supplements. So I truly do believe that supplements help you get results. And I talked about earlier, like, yeah, I don't really take greens. So I take my greens every single morning. And, I formulated a greens product because I wasn't like, and it's not that I don't like vegetables and fruit. I just wasn't taking it, so I just would eat the meat and the potatoes essentially, because that's like my nutrition style. I would make sure I got those, then I would get the veggies. Then I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot to cook veggies for this meal. So I make sure that at least if I have my greens and the probiotic every single morning, then at least I'm good to go there. And it makes a huge difference because of also the quality it does for your gut. So especially if you're new to working out, you're new to healthy, and you've done all these years of eating like shit and putting shit stuff in your body, do you think you're going to be able to digest everything properly? No, not at all. So having like a great greens product will then allow you to actually break down and absorb all these great nutrients that you're putting in your body. Sometimes you got to repair some of the damage that's been done. And then again, it just sets you up for success. And there's a lot more smarter people than I, that again, like recommend especially that because they say, hey, your gut health is truly like the real brain and all that good stuff. So once you're getting your supplements in, the big thing is then sleep. I get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. My goal is always 8 hours. Does it always happen? No, but try and get 8 hours of sleep. Like, you recover when you sleep. You're going to wake up and you're going to be more energized. But if you're training and you're eating right and you're doing all this other stuff, you want to make sure that you actually get sleep. So sleep is often overlooked, for a lot of people. They think they need to do more and more and more, but you need to give your body a time to rest. And some people are just equipped to be super productive with less sleep, but that's you, freaking fantastic. Like, amazing for you. There's been times where I can, and there's periods of times where I can maybe go with 6 hours, but sometimes I got to make sure I get my 8. So there was something I think I heard from, I think it was like Cressy, and I don't know where he heard it from, but it was like, for every hour you go to bed before 10, it's worth 2. So if you're not able to get that full 6 hours, great. Like, and again, I don't always get that either, especially when waking up at 5. If it's a longer day, it just didn't happen. But try and get the sleep so that all that other work that you're putting in can actually be put to use so that you can truly recover, let all those great hormones that happen when you sleep do its thing. Then you'll actually lose weight, you'll actually build muscle, and you'll feel freaking better. So make sure you're getting sleep. That can be the trick that boosts your productivity. If you get like one thing from this is like, make sure you're actually getting sleep. Don't try and be this freaking hero who thinks they're badass so they can operate up 4 hours. Most likely you're not doing a great job and stuff is falling through the cracks, or you're not showing up great elsewhere. And you'll be way more productive with getting the sleep. So, kind of cover it. We have our exercise, we have our nutrition, and then we have our recovery. And they don't have to be like super crazy, nothing fancy like this. Make sure you're lifting weights and you're doing some sort of cardio. Combine them together, doing like HIIT style training. Like, that's pretty much what we do at Legion. And then we have our clients that have been with us for a while. Then we like, hey, great. Like, we'll do some semi-private training, and that's going to be the more personalized stuff. Then you got to make sure you're eating right. Make sure you're getting a protein, your carb, and your veggies, and like high quality food. And then depending on what your goal is, you don't have to count calories together. You got to be conscious of it and, looking at the quantities of what you're eating. And there's a pretty simple process using your hands to be like, hey, this is the quantity that I need to eat. And then you take your supplements and sleep so that you can actually recover. If you have all those, you will get your results. Now, the trick is, and this is kind of where it carries over to business, it's being consistent and dedicated. This is something that I've been doing, I don't know, probably close to 2 decades. And it's been a cornerstone of things that I do. So, I can't imagine not working out, not like eating right. Like, just, it's part of who I am, But it's also taught me a lot of things. Like, having to eat every 2 hours, like I shared earlier, and doing that for years taught me that dedication, that determination, and being consistent with something. And you're not going to get that goal right away, but it's going to take time. But if you put that effort in over time, most people aren't willing to do that. You're going to get this benefit that other people haven't gotten. So it's not that I have great genetics or anything like that. Like, I don't feel I have great genetics when it comes to, fitness, or at least physique stuff, or even strength stuff. It's just that I did it, and I did the things every single day, and I did it consistently over time. And that's carrying over to business. I think one of the reasons that I've been able to be successful in business is I just do the same things, and I do the things that are supposed to be done often. And I'm not perfect, just like I'm not perfect with nutrition, but and just like, getting hurt, that happens. You learn from it, and you try not to get hurt again, and you just, you adjust what you're doing. It's the same thing in business. If you screw up, you fail, whatever, it's cool. Those things happen. You don't let it like hold you down. You adjust and you move forward. But it's about being dedicated and being consistent and following through. And I think that's one of the big things that I've learned from fitness. But it's also that it's simple. It's not easy because you have to do it all the time. So that's the hard part, but it's simple. And one of the reasons everybody has success when they come to Legion is because we made it freaking simple for them. So I wasn't exactly trying to make this a whole thing about Legion, but it's hard not to when it's kind of about fitness. But, this is, I think, just important. I think more people, if we focus on our health, we focus on just moving, eating right, and recovering, we're going to see our health improve. And, that if that could be just one thing, I can impart on you is I think that that's not something, especially if you're, obviously, a lot of this theme of why I'm recording these are business related, but it's also, I didn't just do it for business. I was like, hey, I just want to share shit that's on my mind. But if you can take this stuff, put it in your everyday life, like, you're going to improve. And then if you're an entrepreneur and you're not looking at fitness, like, add fitness into it and you'll see that your business will improve. All right. If you're into fitness and you're looking to create a business, like, I don't know, for myself and a lot of other people that I know, it's been pretty helpful for us to find that success because of, we know that what it's like when you're putting in the work and the results that come over time from it and from the direct actions that you do. So, I just wanted to share kind of my approach to fitness, trying to look good naked and move well. eat, steak as many times a day as you can, and then take your supplements, especially your greens, and then sleep. You do that over time, and you're going to get to the goals that you have. So that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed it, really appreciate it if you shared it. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time.
Hey, thanks for spending your time with me today. I made this show to help people just like you overcome the challenges and adversity that come with entrepreneurship. So if you know someone that could truly benefit from today's show, please be sure to share this episode with them. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week on Unleashing Greatness.